Now, here's where it gets really interesting and really down to earth, because they aren't just telling the stranger the story of Easter and what happened. They're telling the stranger their story. Not only do they tell the stranger about the events of the weekend and who Jesus was, they reveal their hearts to him as well. And they say this phrase, "We had hoped that he was the one." Now, you need to remember a little bit of the depth of their story, particularly as Israelites, as God's chosen people. Their story was that they were God's chosen people, that they had a destiny, that they had a calling, that their life wasn't just about themselves. They were going to be the glorious representatives of God on earth. But the Israelites' story had gone all wrong. There was no glory in Israel. There was just suffering. Their story was slavery in Egypt. And then, just as they built up a kingdom in the promised land, it became a story of division and destruction. And then, one oppressor after another, Syria, then Babylon, then Persia, then Greece, and now Rome. Then Jesus came along, and he was a prophet, powerful in word and deed. And he said things nobody else ever said. And he did things nobody else ever did. And they thought maybe he'll set the story right. He'll lead kind of a revolution in this world. He'll overthrow oppression and the enemy, and he'll make their people prosperous and great so that all the world will know that Israel's God rules the world. They had all these hopes, and things seemed to be going so well. And then all of a sudden, everything went south, and he ends up on a cross. Now, you may maybe understand why Clopas and Mary were so dejected. We have the privilege of looking at this from the other side, but you have to put yourself in their place. No one expected this. It's not that Jesus died on a cross. And that meant, by definition, that whatever they were hoping for, it wasn't going to be him. He wasn't the Messiah. Crucifixion is what Rome did to demonstrate that some rebel is not the Messiah, that he is not going to win. Crucifixion means that Rome wins, and they don't know what to do with this. Now think about it for you. Everybody has a story. You have a story, I have a story, and at the heart of our story are the same words. We'd been hoping. Because if you live long enough, if you experience the harshness of the world around us long enough, you know about those kinds of words. We'd been hoping. And this is deeply personal in your life. We'd been hoping to raise a great family, wonderful children, have a long life, and then the doctor said, we'd been hoping. We had this great dream, going to do wonderful things, and then I lost my job. We'd been hoping, and then this habit that I just can't seem to shake got its grip on me again. I'd been hoping, but then he told me that he doesn't love me. We'd been hoping, and then our child went down a road that we never thought they'd go down. Clopas and Mary say, we'd been hoping he was the one who was going to redeem, was going to make our story come out okay. But it looks like our story has gone all wrong. How do you see your story? More importantly, how do you see Jesus in your story? Let's be honest, sometimes it's hard to see him, to know that he's walking alongside us, but he's there. He's always there. And he is closer than we think. We all have a story of our lives, a journey that we're on. And sometimes even the simplest act of faith is to acknowledge that Jesus is there, walking along with us. Do you wonder what Jesus is doing in your story? Maybe you have expectations of the things that Jesus is going to do for you, but he keeps disappointing you. Maybe you're a bit of a cynic and jaded, and you don't really hope in God at all. You've been disappointed enough times that your hope is almost gone. How are you doing with all of this? Do you see yourself as one of these disciples, confused, bewildered, and maybe a little frustrated at what God is or isn't doing in your life?